Harvard did a research on looking at businesses in the year 2000, and only 50% of them are still here today. So what are some of the pressures that we are facing day to day? We're overloaded with information. We've got these huge task lists that we have to do each day, and we are not sometimes seeing the opportunity to be able to innovate and enable because we're so busy doing so many things. So today I want to take you on a journey to learn about your brain, thinking from your side of things, how can I do things differently? So technology advances. So we have come a long way from a neuroscience perspective. We know more about the brain now in the last 10 years than what we did 400 years ago. And that is through the technology of fMRIs and EEG scans. So today is really important about looking at, well, how does our brain perform under stress when we're dealing with change? How do we transition from where we are today and create new habits that are going to sustain us for success? There are three core areas that we're going to cover that deals with change. The first one is our prefrontal cortex, which is our executive thinking part of our brain. It's behind our forehead, and it is responsible for all of our key decision-making, influencing, recalling information, our working memory, problem-solving. Anyone else want to add a few more to that? Okay, we're moving on to the limbic system. The limbic system is our emotional center, and this is the primitive part of our brain. This takes us back to caveman times, where this part of the region of the brain hasn't changed too much over time, where our prefrontal cortex has, and is a key differentiator from living and working in the digital age. So our limbic system, a key part of that is the amygdala, and it is responsible for 3 F's. No swearing, but does anyone have any guess of what those 3 F's could stand for? Fight, flight, freeze. But what's different from primitive times where we were dealing with bears and saber-toothed tigers, what are we now dealing with? What are some of the challenges that we're working with today? I've got lots of people throwing things at me. This is exciting. You start to see how our threat systems have changed in the digital age. And technology is amazing because we wouldn't know what we know about the brain if it wasn't for technology, but it's about how we harness that. Thinking of your brain's organising principles is to really look at minimising the threat, and we want to be able to maximise the reward, because when we're in a reward state, we ignite dopamine hits. And dopamine hits is our brain's happy drug, natural drug, and it helps us with our performance and our productivity and our innovation. The research has shown that high-performing teams operate more in a reward state. Low-performing teams are when they're dealing with lots of threat and negativity. So we know from a performance perspective that we need to be operating more in a reward state. Some of the research also showed that top-performing managers made their teams laugh and smile 3 times more than average managers and leaders. So has anyone heard of the concept of rewiring your brain? Why that is really key is neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is our ability to change and adapt. It's our ability to change our habits, habits that may have served us once upon a time that no longer serve us today. So how do we do this? Okay, it's through attention density. Okay, it's about looking at what habits do you want to create and focusing on that. Thank you very much. Hope you get your 1 to 3 core things out of today's session. Cheers.
I really enjoyed Vannessa's talk. I learned some things that I would take away myself, but for my clients, one of the key things that I think was interesting was around habits, that our brain is driven by habits, and I think that the amount of emails that we get in work nowadays is pretty overwhelming, and this idea that we can change that habit through new technology is really kind of a key connecting point.
Yeah, the key takeaway was how the brain functions during stressful situation, what sort of stuff is going on in the back end of your brains. I mean, really interesting to see there are actually 3 parts of the brain and how they actually, there's the influence factor and stuff, and really gets me to understand how I can manage the stress more effectively with this neuroscience stuff that Vannessa presented.
I really found Vannessa's presentation really insightful and engaging. The key takeout for me is really what I can do to make sure that my brain is optimised for its reward state. So just changing little things like making sure that I spend time in the morning planning and thinking rather doing all the important stuff at the end of the day.